Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a little music. Um, we're living in some weird times, aren't we? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. The times that we live in. I mean, how many times has Trump been indicted? Umpteenth times. How many times have they killed the Hemi engine? Well, now it's twice. Welcome, folks. And what comes out of my mouth is what we're going to get. God help us, because my mouth can run on and get me in a lot of trouble. But anyway, that's just life. That's just how it is. And the background, is it CGI, hologram, or is it real? And our dog, Dr. Dirk Brindle, is over there hacking up grass, it seems. What you doing, Dirk? Hey, buddy. Anyway, so I asked the question, how many times has Trump been indicted? How many times has the Hemi engine been killed? Well, the Hemi engine's been killed twice now, as of July, actually. The last opportunity to order a car that has the great American Hemi engine under the hood expired in July of this year. Can we have just a moment of silence in remembrance of the Hemi engine? Okay, that's long enough. Mustangs still have V8s in them. God bless you, Mustangs. And I'm not sure what's going to be happening with the Camaro yet, but we'll see. But at least the Corvette still has a V8. But y'all don't have Hemis. Although I do think 302, the 5.0, is a great engine. I really do. And look, the LS engines that Chevy's been putting out, fantastic. Fantastic engines. I hope y'all don't die with the Hemi. But they've killed the Hemi once again, because they hate. Look, anytime we can go out and actually enjoy life, anytime we can go out and actually show a little bit of prosperity and a little bit of life, the New World Order deep state folks just go into ballistic mode. They hate it. They can't stand it when you actually live life and enjoy life. And when you're actually successful at something. The Hemi engine was one of the most successful straight line, quarter mile running V8 engines in history. So what have they done? They took a page out of Toyota's textbook and built a straight six to replace it. Who remembers the Toyota Supras with the straight sixes in them burning up a quarter mile down the track, and everybody's going, how in the carnation did they do that? It ain't even a V8. Well, it turns out the straight six is a powerful engine, and guess what's going into the new Mopars? A straight six. Now I know what you V8 guys are saying, but it don't have the sound of the V8. It don't have the feel of a V8. It don't have the uniqueness of the Hemi, and we don't like it. I understand. I got me a Hemi. It's sitting in my garage right there right now. And no, I'm not selling it. And no, I ain't giving it up. And yes, I'm driving it. Because anytime I can rev those tailpipes in the face of some deep state, new world order, the environment's going to kill us because of the ozone layer. Anytime I can rev that thing in their face, I'm going to do it. Okay, just to irritate them. Now, so as the Hemi engine only died twice, folks, and they hate the Hemi engine. These, I don't know, tree hugging, save the earth people. They hate the Hemi engine. They've only been able to kill it twice. But how many times have they indicted Trump? I don't know, I've lost count. Anybody work for the Guinness Book of World Records out there? Are they still printing that book? You guys remember the Guinness Book of World Records? Is that thing still being published? If it is, go visit Mar-a-Lago and ask Trump how many times he's been indicted without being convicted. He's not been convicted of one thing all the times he's been indicted. I mean, even before he ran for president first time. There were political forces in New York trying to indict him for things because they didn't like him. Why didn't they like him? He must have been an unlikable guy. No, they didn't like him because he was successful at capitalism, and they hated capitalism. He was good at what he did, and they hated that. Got to go after this guy. Well, when he ran for president, they indicted him. When he was president, the whole 4 years he was president, they indicted him. Then he left the presidency. Now he's a private citizen, apparently, and they are indicting him. And now he's running for office again, and they're indicting him. And not one conviction. Not one. No. I don't know about your book, but in my book, that's a Guinness Book of World Records entry right there. I think he deserves to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. Look, just like the electrification of the car, these electric cars, they're not going to work. It's not going to work. They're not going to sell. Nobody's going to want to buy them. They're a fad. I wonder how many more people are going to leave California because they're going to require only electric cars in California. What is it, 2030? They're looking at doing that. Time to get out now, folks. If you want to leave California, it's time to get out before they require cars being sold in California to be electric. Or really get interested in the old classic cars with the engines and the V8s and the carburetors. Or drive to Arizona and buy you one. But if you want to live in a state that is not, fascist, you're going to have to get out of California. I'm sorry. Just the way it is. I just don't know that that's going to fly either. I don't know if that law is going to remain on the books by 2030. We'll see what happens in California. But then they do have a lot of fascist politicians lined up in California wanting to be governor. So, it's not looking good out there. Hollywood's dying. Disney's dying. Target's dying. Anything that goes woke is dying. It's all dying. I mean, just killing over. Just shutting down stores, laying off employees. I mean, really, it's looking bad out there for the woke lobby. But anyway, I digress. Trump is going to be the next president, bar none. Every time they indict him, he gains supporters. More votes are going to be coming in for, if we did votes for Trump per indictment, it's no contest. Nobody out there would be able to compete with Trump when it comes to votes. Will they be able to cheat in this election as badly as they did in the last one? I don't think so. I don't think they have the infrastructure of cheating the ability to cheat as well as they did in the last election. And here's why. On a local level, there has been a lot of progress toward getting, well, let's put it this way, toward cleaning up the voter rolls, number one. And number two, putting safeguards in place to prevent the cheating. And a lot of local municipalities and local counties have decided to go back to paper ballots, things of this nature happening. I mean, look what's happening in the country. The great Idaho movement, right? Where all of the conservative counties in Oregon want to leave Oregon and join Idaho. And I mean pushing all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And, just a small swath of Idaho, not Idaho, but Oregon would be left. And states, I mean, there's literally counties voting almost to the point of declaring independence from the state of Oregon that are counties in Oregon, saying we're done. We're done with this new world order, fascist, leftist garbage. We're leaving, or we're declaring our own independence, or we're done. We're not playing your game anymore. And this type of mentality and movement is occurring all over the country. Now, could you imagine what would happen in this country if they laid one hand on Trump? I mean, if they even made the motion like they were going to place handcuffs on him and put him in a jail cell, there would be a physical, active war in this country. People would become so riled up about that they would. You think J6 was an insurrection? That wasn't an insurrection. That was a protest. You ain't seen an insurrection yet. And I guarantee you, you don't want to see one in this country. You don't want to see one. And if you keep pushing at Trump the way you are, I cannot be responsible for what might happen. Okay? We'll just put it that way. Because I won't be instigating it, but I won't be trying to stop it either. I'm just going to go, oh, look at that. Oh, man. Yeah, here come Texas. Oh, look what's happening in Oregon, Idaho. Ooh, boy, look at that one. Oh, my goodness. They tried to take on the folks in the Appalachians. Oh, you don't want to go to Appalachia and start messing with folks. Bad idea. And guess what? Washington, D.C. ain't too far from the Appalachian Mountains. You don't want to get them folks riled up, do you? Yeah, I'm just saying. By the way, you move out of California and you come out where I am, y'all gonna have to start talking a little different, okay? I'm just saying. Just saying. You can't sound all sophisticated and stuff, all right? You can't be sounding sophisticated like you graduated from Harvard. No, gotta start talking like normal people talk again, okay? And you gotta start thinking normal. Normal. Yeah, that's what a concept. Normal. The medical industry. Something else I want to talk about. How much money did y'all folks in the pharmaceutical industry make during the pandemic? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yep. Piling it up in them locked up safes, huh? The big ones, the big bank vaults piled up with the money that's losing value as I sit here. Um, by the way, the United States credit rating apparently is dropped from AAA down to AA. Don't get me started on credit ratings. I'll go ballistic on that stuff. I could care less what the U.S. credit rating is. I could care less what my credit rating is because I'm not participating in that system. We'll talk more about that. But anyway, so the medical industry has decided that money is more important than people. So sticking them on respirators and killing them with what is it? What was the drug they were using? The only one that was allowed, Restoril or something like that. Um, and making a bed available for the next one, and making money hand over foot. And everybody died of COVID in their hospital. They got money from the federal government for it. That doesn't sound sinister to anybody. Well, now they're making millions of dollars on mutilating the bodies of young boys and girls in the name of transgenderism. Oh, what evil web we weave. What was it Christ said? Oh, yeah. The love of money is the root of all evil. Folks, I'm done with the medical industry. The only way you're going to get me in to see a medical doctor is you're going to have to drag me by the feet while I'm unconscious into their into their office. That's the only way I'm going. Because, or if I'm unconscious and you throw me in an ambulance. But other than that, nope, not me. I'm going with naturopathic doctors. I'm going with holistic medicine. I'm going with natural remedies. I'm done with big pharma, and I'm done with medical doctors who the only thing they have in their head is how much money can I make. So, family member of mine, to remain nameless, has knee issue, right? Pretty bad knee problem. Goes in to see the orthopedic doctor, medical doctor, and is told, oh, it's bone on bone. You're going to need knee surgery. We say, you know what? We might want a second opinion on that. So we check out a naturopathic doctor that specializes in that type of thing. And it's Flexogenic is the name of it, name of the clinic. Go in, x-ray comes out, it's not bone on bone. There's cushion on that knee. Over on this side, there's a little bit of an issue, but we have a treatment that doesn't require knee surgery that will repair it. And blah, blah, blah. There you go. There you go. We decided to go ahead and pay out of our pocket, which we actually could afford to pay out of our pocket for that treatment, rather than making the orthopedic doctor rich, when in my estimation, my personal opinion, we were being lied to by the medical industry. So, there you go. Are you tired of lies, folks? You tired of it? Which commandment said, thou shalt not lie? Actually, it says, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Which brings me to the next subject matter. And that is, what philosophy is your life built upon? Well, we know what philosophy the deep state is built upon. The philosophy of paganism. And in paganism, you have a foundational belief called evolution, Darwinian evolution. Now, paganism is a religion, and Darwinian evolution is the foundation of the pagan religion. And this is in my estimation. So what's being taught in the public schools is the religion of paganism. When you open the textbooks and it teaches you evolution. Now, evolution basically states that the universe came into existence by magic. And it's not just magic that brought the universe into existence. It's magic without the aid of a magician. Ex nihilo, out of nothing, came everything without the aid of a magician. Just magic. And this is what we call the science of cosmology, or the origins today. It's magic. The universe came into existence, and we'll just call this act of magic the Big Bang Theory. And, nothing really caused the Big Bang. It's just a high concentration of energy that exploded. Now, exploded is not really the best way of saying it, because they don't mean that it exploded like a piece of dynamite. That's not what they mean by exploding. It means it hit a point of great density and boom, expanded out. That's what it means. Thus, the theory of the oscillating universe, right? The universe expands, it contracts, it expands, it contracts, it expands, and it contracts ad infinitum. In other words, if we look backwards, we'd see an infinite regress of expanding and contracting universes, which is just a backdoor way into the old steady state theory of the eternal universe. Universe has always existed, But outside of that, if we're saying that the universe came into existence, there was a beginning of the universe, which most cosmology today does say that. And you're saying, well, God didn't do it. There is no first cause. It was just natural events. We won the cosmic lottery, if you will. Then what you believe in is not science and the tradition of science historically. What you believe is in a new science called magic. It's just magic. And so we are teaching our children lies in the public schools. Fantasyland. Fantasyland concerning our origin. Fantasyland concerning our gender, right? We're born biologically with two possibilities when it comes to chromosomes. And those two possibilities bring us two genders, male and female. So, if you want to know what my pronoun is, or what I identify as when it comes to my gender, it's the one that God gave me. How's that? And the one that God gave me is the one that I was born with biologically when I came out of my mom's womb. How's that? who cares what we identify as? Identifying does not equate to reality. And so the vast majority of people in the world, at least in the Western world, who bought into the humanistic paganism of the education system, believe in Fantasyland magic. And the Fantasyland magic is, well, evolution is the cause of our existence, undirected, uncaused evolution. And we can be as many genders as we want to be, or whatever gender we want to be. We'll just make it up, and we'll just make up words to give it some kind of real meaning. And we'll live in Fantasyland. Maybe we're spending too long behind video games, or watching fantasies when we're children. I don't know. But we seem to have an illusion to reality. We have a hard time accepting reality. And we get all offended and worked up if people don't recognize our reality. Okay, whatever. I'm not required to acknowledge your Fantasyland magic reality. Okay? I don't live in a matrix. I don't live in a computer generated world. I live in the world one that God made. Now the problem with the basis of these philosophies is that you get what we have in the world today. You get the gender replacement surgery, whatever they call it, where you change your sex by surgery, which is not very successful, and people regret it later, and they go through deep depression because of it. It's cruelty against children. It really is. When you're taking someone who has not developed the ability of cognitive thought yet, of sound cognitive thought, and you're telling them a Fantasyland reality, and you're advising them as the adults that they trust to do something unwise and stupid that they're going to regret for the rest of their life. And it's backed up by the government, by DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the medical system. To survive in today's world, folks, you really do have to be an independent thinker. And I don't mean independent from God. I mean independent from the Fantasyland world of man and listening to God. To be a rebel today and an independent thinker today, all you got to do is pick up this book and start reading it and living by it. And you'll be a rebel. And you'll be an independent thinker. And you'll be the opposite of what the world is. But, look folks, the world's not dying. All of this stuff I'm talking about, the electric cars, right? I mean, Teslas are not put together that well. I'm sorry, but their initial quality rating is low. Their fit and finish is not that good. I'm not that impressed with them. And but they are status symbol. But that's the world we live in. The world that we've created is like a Tesla. When the battery dies, it's done. You might as well just stick dynamite in it and blow it up because it's too expensive to fix. And one guy actually did that on video. And we live in a world where the fit and finish isn't that good. The reality's not that good. We think we're going to change the world and change the planet with electric cars, but we don't even have an infrastructure to support them. And when they die, we don't have a way of fixing them without it costing as much or more than just going out and buying a new one. It's a fad. And so is gender fantasy world. It's a fad. It's not going to survive. This youngest generation that's coming up is very conservative. And they're very conservative because somehow God has enabled them to see through the nonsense that's been pushed upon their parents. And their parents buying into the nonsense and then trying to espouse it to their kids. Eventually, kids are going to rebel against their parents. Remember the rebellion of the 60s? Remember when the little hints of that began in the 50s with the guy with the motorcycle and the leather jacket? Boom, boom, boom. The rebellious kid. And the rebellious kid became commonplace in the 60s. We're going to see that again, only this rebellion is not going to be like the one that occurred in the 60s. This rebellion is going to be a rebellion against the one that occurred in the 60s. It's going to be a rebellion back to traditional values, a rebellion back toward books like this, like the Holy Bible. It's going to be a rebellion back toward two genders, traditional marriage or biblical marriage, not Fantasyland marriage. It's going to be a trend back toward family, and not redefining family, but family in the order that God created it, back to an understanding of origins that isn't in Fantasyland, because anyone who has half a brain or a synopsis firing in his brain understands that you can't get something out of nothing without a first cause. In the beginning, God, the first cause, created, put the creative materials in motion, the heavens and the earth. So, now we have a first cause. Now we can debate God just as they did hundreds of years ago. But to say the universe came into existence without a first cause is simply to believe in magic without any evidence and support. Now let me end this video with the concept of evidence. We live in a society that's big on evidence. And we believe that evidence is the thing that you need to believe anything. You can't believe something without evidence, right? I have to determine it through the evidence. All right. So out of that comes Christian evidential apologetics. But here's the problem with Christian evidential apologetics. Christian evidential apologetics does not bring anyone to Christ, nor does it have any effect upon anyone's soul. It stimulates the mind. It makes for a fun and interesting debate, or fun and interesting conversation. And it stimulates the curiosity of the mind and goes no further. No one comes to redemption or regeneration through evidential evidence, evidential apologetics. You can convince someone through evidence, like evidence demands a verdict, that God exists, that Jesus Christ rose from the dead, and you could pile this evidence up so high that they get to the point where they say, I can't deny it anymore. And they'll still walk away with their soul unchanged. Why? Because the thing that infects them has nothing to do with science, has nothing to do with evidence, has nothing to do with the function of the mind. It has everything to do with metaphysical reality. And so to affect the soul on a metaphysical level, a spiritual level, requires two things: the Holy Spirit and the Word of God. And without the work of the Holy Spirit and the declaration of the Word of God, no one comes to redemption, and no one is regenerated by Christ without those two elements. And so we have really bought into the concept of evidentialism. Thinking that that is going to convince people with overwhelming evidence or superior logic to become Christians, to acknowledge the existence of God and all that kind of stuff. No, because it's not an evidential problem. It's not a logic problem. It's a heart problem. It's a problem of the soul. The soul being infected with sin and blackened by it. The demons believe in God. They know God is real. They know Jesus Christ rose from the dead. They know all of this stuff. And yet their hearts, their souls are still blackened with sin. And they still battle against it. The same is true of mankind, humankind. We can know all these things and still fight against God, still fight against redemption, still love our sin, because the disease that infects our soul cannot be resolved or cured through science or evidence or any amount of logical reasoning. The only cure is divine intervention, a spiritual rebirth, which occurs on the metaphysical level, the spiritual realm. All right. So, let's step out of the fantasy world, step back into reality, and all of the craziness that we see happening in our world, let's look at it from the viewpoint that God looks at it from. Let's try to get God's perspective on all of this. And when we do, we will begin to see that this push toward a new world order, the deep state, the worship of human beings over the worship of God, this idolatry that so permeates our age, is dying a very slow and painful death. And God and His kingdom is and will triumph. Thanks for watching. God bless. And we'll see you next time.